Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Another beautiful day shaping up here in South Florida. It's been absolutely spectacular. I saw news of a cold front that was going to hit South Florida on Sunday, and anywhere that you're watching around the country where you're freezing your ass off, we apologize for complaining about this, which I'm not. I absolutely love the cold fronts when they hit, however brief they may be. If it gets down into the 50s and you walk outside, you feel great for a second because you know it's going to return back up to 75, 80 degrees by the time you hit 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sunny, beautiful, nice, clean, dry air. Couldn't be any more refreshing. So the announcement of the cold front, I'm thinking, really, you're going to get this again? That's good because it triggered, ignited a couple of really, really nice days weather-wise for the walk of life. I know you have to be enjoying it. Do you still walk your
Yes,
dog, or what do you do about that with the baby now?
it's a fun sight around this neighborhood.
Are you one of those stroller guys with the
Yes,
baby in the stroller all
yes.
covered up, and then the dog is like yanking
I'm
you
doing less of the
around
covering
the
up
neighborhood?
because the weather's been nice and my son is pale that I don't cover him up as much now because he needs freaking sun.
You're getting him a little son.
Yes, I'm making sure he gets whenever
I'm not
he
sure
goes.
that's good, man. I'm not sure
He's
that's
not
good.
well. He wasn't supposed to early on, especially since he was born in October when before we started to get cool and the
Yeah.
sun was much stronger. The sun's not so bad, and we have a lot of shade. There's a lot of trees in the neighborhoods, so it's a lot of shade. Also, I don't just leave him exposed. There's a thing over him, but I used to like totally cover him. Now I don't totally cover him. I want him to get some sun. Like he needs to get vitamin D, and he's again ridiculously pale, so he needs definitely the sun, especially being half Dominican. I don't want him being that mistaken for being a gringo.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I'm
Not
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 only one of
black
those guys.
enough, as we were talking about yesterday, which is also a theme of today's show as
There
well.
you go. I am not only one of those guys, but I do it with a husky. Usually, you see with like a little dog or like
Yeah.
two little dogs. It's a husky, a stroller, and actually, yeah, but he actually has behaved. Thank God. Like
Oh,
both
yeah?
actually,
Doesn't yank you all the way around?
once in a while, it's like come on, but for the most part, especially when I walk him, I'll do 2 or 3 walks a day with Luca, and on those walks, he's much better behaved. He's
Oh,
actually really
wow. Okay.
good. Yeah, thank God. When it's
I
me,
gotta kick out of this.
me
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off there.
when it's me and him, it's a free for all a lot of the time. But he respects Luca at least, I
Oh,
guess.
okay. And that happens with animals, man. They dig babies for some reason.
Yes.
I see this a lot on my walk. Not a lot, I mean, but I would say at least a couple of times a week, and it's different people. See this on the walk of life here, and you will have like a young mother with not one but two babies in a stroller, running with the babies, pushing the stroller with a dog leading the way that is kind of wrapped around the stroller
Jesus.
and it is setting the pace out front like a harness horse.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I don't do
How do
all
they
that.
do that?
I don't do all that. I
I
walk.
find it a little suspect. I don't know. I mean, you hit a bump and then boom, and both kids go flying.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm that desperate to exercise with the kids in tow. But anyway, good morning, everybody. That has nothing to do with anything except that Lubie's life has become a living hell.
Just very busy.
So happy he had a child. All right, we were talking yesterday. On the edge, we really implied that there were no racist implications there or intonations whatsoever. That Black Monday was not black enough for Mike Lubie Lubitz.
Yeah.
And you could go back through the history of things being said in that of that nature, and cancel culture probably would have had us out of here long
Yes.
ago, just for even the mere suggestion. Even though we weren't talking about anything to do with ethnicity, racism, strictly the terminology Black Monday, because coaches get fired in the NFL on Monday.
Yes.
And there's always one that gets hit right away, like Raheem Morris did
Yes.
where a Sunday night, I mean, they haven't even left the locker room yet, and they clear it out. Always reminds me of the story, and this is kind of interesting because it ties in with what the big news of yesterday was, and that was the dismissal of John Harbaugh by the Baltimore Ravens. And I couldn't help but think of the story that my former neighbor, may he rest in peace, great guy, degenerate gambler, successful businessman, and my man Jim McKinley, who went from being a football coach. Woody Woodenhofer was his guy. We've talked about him in the past. He was a fascinating guy for me because I was the only guy in the neighborhood that knew what the hell he was talking about when he would come back
Mhm.
from the track having hit 8 out of 9 exactas. And what's I don't know. I mean, some gamblers just keep that under their hat, but what good is it if you can't tell anybody?
Bingo.
You come home
Bingo.
and you say, "I hit 8 out of 9 exactas," and your wife's going, "Hey, is the meatloaf ready?" I mean, like they could care less. You just have one of the most phenomenal, degenerate gambling accomplishments of your lifetime, and you can't share it with anybody. And let's face it, isn't that what life is all about? To find that special someone, Lubie, like you did with the lovely
Mhm.
Shirley Reyes, Lubitz,
Yes.
and you can share everything, all of these experiences, as wonderful as they are, with your wife, and she understands, and she can relate, and she can empathize with your plight, and maybe once in a while refrain from saying, are you really ever going to get it together? How much longer are you going to be doing this?
Never gonna say that.
You know what? I'm one step away. I keep telling my friend Jimmy, I'm one step away from just bottoming out completely, and I'm also like a small tick away from maybe being right back there where I want to be. So you just got to keep hammering away, stammering away until you finally get what it is that you're looking for, or at least some semblance or reasonable facsimile thereof. The old reasonable facsimile. When was the first time you heard that term, Libby? Reasonable facsimile, or was that something that you would be inclined to have in your vocabulary, so to speak?
No, back in
Reasonable
the day,
fact.
they did it. Was it with the signed balls? They would always on the
That was
commercials.
it.
They would always
Exactly.
have, whether it be baseballs or footballs or basketballs. They would always have, and I remember
A
that from you.
reasonable facsimile was a
They would always go,
disclaimer.
that was always because you'd be like the whole team would make sure you knew it was having the
Yeah.
idea of the signed ball. It wasn't an actual signed ball.
Yeah, they signed one ball, and I think they used to Xerox these balls. So they really looked like they came out of some kind of a copying machine, which was an innovation back in the day there. That was the first time I heard of it. We were selling the reasonable facsimile of the autographed ball. It was the most expensive souvenir item that I sold, except for the reasonable facsimile of the New York Jets helmet. Which the helmet wasn't bad. I mean, if you were in like Pop Warner football, you probably could have worn this thing.
Yep.
It was solid enough to actually be representative of a helmet you might buy in a sporting goods store. Think about this with the Jets logo on it, the Jets helmet that I was selling at Jet games back in the day, and this is circa 1964 through 69. Think about that, Louis. 64 through 69.
That's crazy.
My God, I was a teenager back then. The Jets helmet was $4.50. Now, if you went to a sporting goods store today and tried to buy like a viable helmet
Is it
that
100?
a kid could wear in a Pop Warner game, what do you think it would be? Like
50,
150?
60, 100, 125. Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be a decent amount.
The autograph ball was $3, and
Oh.
that was the most expensive baseball souvenir that we sold. $3 for the reasonable facsimile autograph ball. Which, as I've said many times, I mean, the real way to go is to take a ball to if you lived in Belmore, Long Island. Larry Bernard's house. His wife would take the ball, and we would come back a couple of days later on our bicycle. She'd hand out like 7 autographed balls. In my case, I had the 1963 Mets.
Oof.
The 62 Mets would have been that might have been of some distinction. Oh, we had no idea how to preserve this stuff back then.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would have been.
Well, you used it the next day. You obviously played with it the next
That's
day.
what happened. I smacked one, and then I realized I had erased Casey Stengel's very distinct and unique autograph, which was as clear as it. There's Casey right across my baseball, and the other 25 Mets on the roster, and we're in the streets, not even on grass, playing with this ball. So you knew the autographs weren't going to last too long. I may still have that somewhere. I don't know that there's any clarity with regard to who it is. I mean, it looks more like an Andy Warhol painting at this point. Anyway, so Black Monday wasn't black enough for Mike Lubie Lubitz, but this became very interesting, the whole thing, because there certainly are shades of gray now that are sort of affecting and impacting not only a lot of teams, but certainly John Harbaugh himself. Supposedly, according to his agent, Lubie, the story goes like this, and you don't know what to believe anymore. I'm not implying that there's a lot of fake news, because when I saw the clips yesterday of the January 6th Capitol riot, that was not some party that just got out of control.
It was
Come on,
everything.
boy.
When the right throws shade at the left's protests, that's what they think it is. It's never that. The left's protests are always peaceful until the right goes in there and messes with it.
They bring their Nazi party friends in.
Bingo, to make it look bad. But until the other side comes, the protests are very peaceful. That was not that. That
was. I remember watching it. It was 5 years ago yesterday. We didn't
I
really
thought it was
mention
a lie. I remember to this day. I remember watching it for hours, going, "Okay, so what movie is this?" Like they took it from
Unbelievable.
what movie?
Yes, it was. I mean, straight again out of bananas. That was probably the most prophetic thing that we ever did.
Yeah.
Was bring that clip out long before this stuff really started. Not just hitting the fan, but looking like he was just taking a pile of dog poop and throwing it in front of one of those airboats in the Everglades. Stuff's going all over the place. That was pretty incredible. But yeah, so yesterday it was shades of gray. John Harbaugh gets fired. His record as a coach of the Baltimore Ravens, 180 and 113. He has a Super Bowl. I believe this season being a losing season might have been his second of 18 seasons that he had a sub 500 record.
Yeah, I think
Pretty
Lamar
good.
was
In general, what was that?
I think Lamar was hurt one year where Tyler Huntley had to play a lot, and then they had other guys play a lot. So they had
And he was hurt this year, part of the year. Yeah, he missed a few
other
games.
than that, they always contend.
And it boiled down to this. I mean, you're not firing a guy if he wins the division and goes to the first round of the playoffs after 18 very distinguished years. And one distinction that is hard to make: who actually is the better head football coach? Let's just go NFL. Let's discount Jim Harbaugh's national championship with the Michigan Wolverines, which they may never sniff again. If the only outrageously so-called outside the boundaries of the parameters, the guidelines that whatever organization is running college football puts forth, what was sending some assistant coach to steal some signs, that's a minor indiscretion compared to some of the stuff that I would imagine goes on with the top programs on a regular routine basis. Now, Michigan always seems to be a target of the people that are the ruling body. I don't know how Ohio State has never had even the most like minor blemish asserted against it by the powers that be. How is that? How is Notre Dame never under any scrutiny?
Wow.
Ohio State, Alabama. None of these schools ever did anything of the nature which involved suspension of two different coaches, firing of a guy who was an assistant. I mean, it's amazing how selective these things are and how they tend to zero in on maybe one or two programs out of the 100 or so that are out there trying to accomplish the same thing. That's win a national championship. All right, so Jim Harbaugh wins a national championship at Michigan. Not the easiest of things to do, in spite of the success they had in the distant past. And John Harbaugh, of course, has a Super Bowl. Jim went to a Super Bowl with the 49ers and was a very successful coach before he went to the college ranks.
Yep.
Who would be the better Harbaugh, Jim or John?
I would take John,
Tough
but
call, right?
I would take John, but there's something to be said for being at one franchise with one front office and having success year after year and going from Stanford to the Niners to Michigan. I think he was at San Jose State before Stanford, and having success wherever you've gone, which Jim has. As much as the early days in Michigan, he definitely had some troubles where by year 4 or 5, they wanted to get rid of him. Whatever he had to do to win, we are now seeing they all do it. They're all doing everything you got to do to win.
Yes.
And now it's legal. And he won. He won a title at Michigan. And he won a title at Michigan and playing a form of football that Mario Cristobal is doing a lot, very similar now, and that we didn't think you still could win, especially in college in this day and age. So Jim Harbaugh's a fantastic coach. But there's something about John Harbaugh to me, the guy that was the secondary coach that able to win every year. And again, they switched gears. Remember, they won with sturdy white guy who can't move, Joe Flacco. And then it's what I talked about the other day, switched total gears and built an offense around a guy that a lot of teams didn't know what to do with in Lamar Jackson. And guys like Bill Polian that we really respect thought he should not be a quarterback at all. And did a 180, kept drafting well, building strong defenses, good offensive lines, running the ball, but made it about a guy transforming the game of football. Remember, after that, a lot of teams, it wasn't just Michael Vick. Lamar Jackson was a guy that a lot of teams were like, oh, we can have running quarterbacks even more now than, to be able to do that and have the same level, if not a greater level of success is impressive. And it's something you don't see very often. Like it's what Belichick did, right? Like Belichick's career, they had better wide open offenses. It's what Saban did when he brought in Kiffin and Sark. Like, let's open up the offenses. Like, it's something that the great coaches do to have staying power. It's what Shula did. The 70s Dolphins were very different than the Marino Dolphins. Yeah, for whatever he was as a personnel guy, going and drafting Marino and then saying, all right, and then in the mid 80s, when you could still tackle guys, and it was still 3 yards in a cloud of dust-ish until Shula and Walsh, really, like, to go and bring in Marino and then go, okay, go, and just let Marino go, as Shula, who was a guy who was very, that's what the great coaches do. And to me, that's Jim Harbaugh's actually done the opposite. He coaches his style, whatever he is, and that's what he does. Even Andrew Luck, who was put up a lot of numbers under Jim Harbaugh, wasn't Mr. Freewheeling. Like, Harbaugh's very systematic. Run the ball. Good. Look at Justin Herbert. It's why he's not the same dude. It's a very different.
Pared down his responsibilities.
John isn't that. John's actually been willing to be more fluid, dependent on the talent he has. So to me, I would give him the edge, even though it's impressive how both are amazing coaches.
Right. I mean, you can't go wrong, it seems like, with either guy. So according to his agent, within 45 minutes of his dismissal, the announcement, the publication of the idea that, and this was speculated upon, and if they make that kick, if his rookie kicker doesn't miss that field goal at the end of the game, some people questioned he could have gotten an extra few yards. I actually questioned that, where they took the knee and put the ball in the middle of the field. It still were like 40 some odd yards in terms of field goal distance. I think it was 40? Was it 44, 41, something in that range? That being said, sure, he could have run another play and run the ball up the middle and try to gain 5 yards. Might have made a difference. So you would not want to have assured yourself that the distance was not going to be a problem. Now, there was a time in the NFL where inside of 40 was somewhat automatic.
Yeah,
40 to 50 was a little bit more sketchy. Now that dynamic has changed, as is the case with a lot of things, where 40 to 50 is a veritable automatic, and 50 plus is actually not even as sketchy as it used to be. You start getting a little queasy about the distance. When it's 55 to 65, where we've seen a 70-yard field goal be made. Yeah. Unbelievable. So anyway, some people question his fourth quarter strategy, and they thought they pointed to that play there, and I'm thinking, wow, that one play could have been the difference between him, and I think it was. I don't know. There was speculation that whoever lost that game between Tomlin and Harbaugh, longtime coaches with great records, certainly have established that they're more than capable of dealing with what goes on in the NFL. Are they capable of winning it all? Yes, both have done that, right? Tomlin has a Super Bowl with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Roethlisberger. So they both won Super Bowls, both been there a long time. And yet the assertion was that whoever lost that game had a good chance of getting fired.
Yes.
In spite of their longevity and track record. Now, you could make a case, all right, the guy's been there 18 years, won championship. Things didn't go so swimmingly this year. Maybe it's just time to make a change for the sake of change. That's possible. I don't believe that that's a good idea when you look at the coaching carousel, because you now have 6 vacancies, well, 7 vacancies in the NFL, including Baltimore, which is unlikely. They just fired a guy, so the chances that he is involved in their search for a new head coach are 0.0.
Yeah.
So the agent says that 7 teams have contacted within 45 minutes. That 7 teams had contacted him about the availability of John Harbaugh and what his intentions are for the future, and whether or not they could grab an interview with the guy. The Giants, of course, naturally surfaced number one. And would that be a bad idea for them to bring in John Harbaugh after sort of a long series of nothingness there, kind of a Dolphin-esque run of head coaches? But then who is the 7th team would be the question. So if Black Monday wasn't black enough for you, Mike Lubie-Lubitz, the shades of gray now hover over, I guess, one of 2 franchises, one of which, of course, would be the Miami Dolphins, who have not fired their head coach and gave every indication he was coming back.
Yep.
Does that change your perspective on the whole thing? If you're Stephen Ross, the disparaging remarks about Stephen Ross and his ownership acumen or leadership acumen as an owner of an NFL team have just exponentially bounded out of control. Everybody speculating that, well, this is why they're losers, because Ross won't make a bold move and make a move like that to get John Harbaugh. Do you think that the Miami Dolphins were one of the calls? And the other team that has a head coach that was being speculated upon as possibly being that seventh team was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Todd Bowles.
Oh, the Bucks. Yeah. I mean, with Hart, look, I think it's weird to be like, well, I'm not going to get rid of the girl I'm with until I see what this new girl's all about.
How many times have you done that, though?
I didn't do it a lot. My friends did it my entire life. I felt it. I did it a few times when I was with like girls I really didn't care about, but like,
Yeah.
I always felt bad doing it. Like I think it's a little weird that you're openly. Yeah, we really don't like our coach, but we don't know what's out there, so we'll just keep. And we'll see what really great coach it wants to do. I'm happy because it means, all right, at least the Dolphins understand what a great coach is, because to have Harbaugh out there not even try with McDaniels.
Oh, we don't know that they called, but we're not sure if that even happened. But
I don't know.
what do you think? I mean, would you be one of the calls, and would that make Black Monday black enough for you, Mike Lubie Lewis?
Yeah, yes. If Harbaugh takes over for the Miami, if Harbaugh is gone, which leads to then McDaniel being gone, and then the Dolphins hiring Harbaugh, that would be the greatest Black Monday as a Dolphin fan in a long time.
Better shot to put something together that might last for a while, although 18 years in the league also might have taken a toll. 180 and 113. Mike McDaniel, 4 years, 35 and 33, 0-2 in the playoffs. So if you want to factor in the other two games that he was a head coach of the team for, a dead even. Here you go. I mean, you talk about mired in mediocrity. You have a guy on a job 4 years, and he's 35 and 35 overall, including 2 playoff games. So you want to stay there, or do you want to take a shot and move on? I would have thought that taking a shot would have been worthwhile, even if there wasn't a John Harbaugh available. And I know how you feel about that, but could they have been? That's the big mystery. Was your local team one of the teams of the ones that are and there are only a handful of teams that would be in this situation where they retain their head coach, but they might want to reconsider. Wait a minute, Mike, not so fast. Pull a Lee Corso on that thing. So that was an interesting development yesterday. And furthering the shades of gray, there were a bunch of assistants, high-ranking assistant coaches that were let go yesterday as well. So Black Monday lingered into Gray Tuesday, and some dark clouds were hovering over guys. Cliff Kingsbury, he was let go along the offensive coordinator with Washington under Dan Quinn. Joe Worth, I believe was the name of the defensive coordinator. Whoosh, got the axe. And Matt Eberfluss, after 1 year as a DC with the Dallas Cowboys, was let go. So a lot of casualties yesterday, none of which involved the Miami Dolphins. They believe that they can run it back next year and be successful, unless they were one of the people that made that call. All right, a lot of stuff going on. And, of course, we have the games to analyze. The Hurricanes in action just tomorrow night. Wow. Where do you take that in, Libby? Well, you'll be home. But
yeah, home. Yeah.
Are there watch parties? I mean, we should, if we were doing our civic duty here, we would have an illusion, at least have looked into the idea. Where is there a big celebration going on? Giant screens being posted somewhere? It's just going to be like, what do you think?
They're in the semis, like they are from South Florida.
Do they really have any fans? Is it just the 3,000 or 4,000 that have been following the team going all the way back that stuck with them during some really hard times? Hard times have been put upon dusty roads.
Yes.
I hear that ringing in my head. Mario Cristobal, is it possible that an ACC also ran movie? This is also ran category in the ACC, which was deemed to be the weakest it's ever been in the history of college football and the existence of the conference. ACC. Well, what did you hear all season long? ACC sucks.
Oh, yeah,
ACC sucks.
Oh,
ACC sucks. All right. And the SEC, the vaunted SEC, I mean, if you could believe Paul Feinbaum, there is no competition anywhere. A lot of people would subscribe to that and say there's really not a lot of debate about the heavyweight conference in college football. It clearly has been the SEC. I don't know where it stands this year. People were taking shots saying it wasn't as good. You look at Alabama getting eliminated and losing 4 games this year. Kalen DeBoer is still under fire now after this past season. You thought maybe he was going to really get it together. He didn't. Kirby Smart eliminated in the first round of the playoffs there with Georgia. They weren't supposed to be as tough as they've been in the past. So which is it? Is the ACC a vastly inferior league to the SEC?
Mm.
And then how strange is it that an ACC team would be favored over a one-loss SEC team? And the Canes are favored by 3.5. Are you buying it, Lubie? I know you said yesterday you feel the Hurricanes are going to win this game and then maybe lose to either Indiana or Oregon. Wasn't that your theory?
Yes, I lean UM. I feel like this might be the game that they get their own medicine, and the team that no one really expects to win wins. But it's hard to do that logically, off of what we've seen. I mean, UM's been. I mean, Ole Miss has been decisive in their in their victories. I mean, they were leading Georgia most of the game. Then Georgia stormed back. Then they hung tough and pulled it out. But Miami's been physical and consistent, and I would think that would. And they have more talent. They're the more talented team in this game for sure. So I would lean Miami in that game. It's not very convinced. I think if again Ole Miss can play their game early, then Miami find themselves in trouble because they haven't really done anything on offense through 2 games, and Ole Miss's defense is coming on, and they're a big play defense. So I if Ole Miss's offense comes out the gate the way I thought Ohio State's offense would, then it's a whole different ball game. But as of now, Miami hasn't let anyone do that. Miami's been really good about keeping good offenses, both A&M and Ohio State at bay. So you would think they would try and do the same thing here.
What the F was Ryan Day thinking, by the way? This case, I mean, you talk about fueled by self-sabotage. My goodness.
Bingo.
Got number 1 picks on both sides of the receiving core.
Smith, like Tate is supposed to go in the top like 8. the number 2 receiver is supposed to go in the top 8 this year. If Jeremiah Smith, who's a true sophomore, could go, he would be the number 1 pick by far. They have 2 top 10 pick receivers. To have 1 top 10 pick receiver is ridiculous. Like even Bama's receivers, when Bama had all those receivers and Ohio State had all those receivers, majority of those guys don't go in the top 10. Have 2 guys on the same roster that are top 10 caliber is insane. No defense should be able to stop that.
You couldn't find those guys with a search warrant in that game.
Oh, they did nothing.
My God. I mean, would you not want to establish, people say this, I get coaching philosophies. Look, you're going to react to the style of the opponent. Don't you want to dictate the pace in any game that you're playing? Whatever it is, whether it's a boxing match, whether it's a tennis match, whether it's a team sport. Don't you want to be the one that's dictating the pace and dictating it to be amenable to the talent that you have that is vastly superior than anything that the Canes could have countered with in terms of the passing game? Nothing, right? Guys running the ball up the middle. Here we go. Hey, 2nd and 7 now. That's the kind of position you want to be in if you're Ryan Day. I mean, no, it isn't.
Yes.
What the hell are you talking about?
It was weird.
All right, so they beat Ohio State. Well, is that a little deceptive? You would have to think the Canes thrashing, a thorough handling of Ohio State. As thrilling as that game was, Ole Miss and Georgia, which was a very exciting game, very indicative of what we saw and reminiscent of what we saw with Baltimore and Pittsburgh, about as entertaining a game as you could possibly get, swinging back and forth. You had the team that you didn't expect to emerge with the victory, coming out on top, the underdog. And knocking Georgia out was no small accomplishment. And yet you're looking at this and thinking, is it possible that we are deceived because Ryan Day is such a bad coach that even Mario Cristobal was able to outduel him, outfox him, outsmart him, outflank him, do whatever he had to do in terms of calling a game, a vastly superior job using his personnel. How can I even say this, Lubie? But go to a break. Go to a break.
He doesn't play around. I still don't think he's a good coach, and I feel very confident in that opinion. But to his credit,
like Bobby Fischer out there.
To his credit,
Morris Spassky.
To his credit, he at least, unlike Ryan Day, sticks to what he does, and he doesn't mess with it, and that's what he does. Ryan Day is inconsistent, and it's why he probably doesn't have 3 titles, or 4, because he wants to show his macho-ness, his machismo. I can be physical too. You don't need to be physical. You have more talent. Like it's like the Niners in the 80s trying to be physical. What do you need to be physical? You have Ronnie Lott, let him be physical, but I don't need the offense to be physical. Let Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Roger Craig go and just blow by people. Like, like you don't need the minute it's like Randy Moss trying to be physical. Like you didn't need to be physical. He's Randy Moss. Just run by him.
Wouldn't you hand Ryan Day a book by Bill Walsh? Offense to win.
Yeah, just do what works.
Roll these guys around.
Or the guy from the Chargers, the air, whatever, Coryell trying to be physical. Like, do what you have to do. Like, especially if what you do can blow teams away. Like, let them be physical and you just blow them away. But anyways, I don't know if you saw the note. I was able to wrangle the one and only Chris Perkins.
Oh, yeah? Oh, great.
He is standing by. So we can go to him now or go to break, whatever makes you happy.
Let's throw in a quick spot here, and then we'll come back with Chris Perkins because this is interesting. Maybe he knows something.
Well, if anyone would know what's going on.
Did he feel that Black Monday was not black enough?
Well,
yes. There goes our political correctness there. All right. Cancel culture alert. Yeah. Back with more in a moment. Now that. The time. It's 8:36.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe B.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
To win games, you have to win the game, not lose the game, honestly. And that is how you lose the game. You're moving the ball down the field. You're 1st and 10. And then you find yourself at 2nd and 20. That was critical.
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
That's a dynamic leadership right there. A Mike McDaniel quote. If anybody, we started to need an interpreter to figure out what this guy was saying, and hopefully Chris Perkins, he's tapping on things there. Chris, how are you? I'm hoping you can hear us there, that you weren't looking to make some wild technical adjustment. How are you, my friend?
They just started these building repairs back up this morning. So, I'm doing good. Hopefully we can hear each other. But, I think I'm a little more confident in my job security than Mike McDaniel today.
Yeah, this is interesting because the agent, this was the big story after Harbaugh got canned, was alluding to the idea that 7 teams had already called in the first 45 minutes. And you're thinking to yourself, well, that's interesting because there's 7 openings, but clearly Baltimore is not interested in hiring Harbaugh. That would be unprecedented, where they fired a guy and then hired him back after an extensive coaching search. So who was the 7th team? And immediately you think, had to be the Miami Dolphins. One of them, maybe Tampa Bay. That was the other speculation that perhaps Todd Bowles was on a little bit less sturdy turf than he might have thought. But what do you know about this? What do you know? When did you know it? What's going on with that? What we were saying yesterday, that Black Monday wasn't black enough for Mike Lubie and taking a shot that we would come under immense scrutiny from social media and political correctness. But it wasn't, because Mike McDaniel was still a Dolphins coach. I don't know if it was black enough for you, Chris Perkins, but are there shades of gray surrounding the situation today?
Well, I would be shocked if Steve Ross pursued another Harbaugh while he still got a coach, right? We saw this with Jim Harbaugh and Tony Sperano, right?
Yes.
Would he do this with John Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel? It'll be interesting. To me, the first team that came up that might have called about John Harbaugh was Dallas.
Okay.
They've got a quarterback, right? They've got Dak. They finished 7-9-1. They need to rebuild that defense, but the offense is really good. So, I don't know who that team was. Definitely, it could have been Tampa Bay. Definitely, it could have been Miami. Definitely, it could have been Dallas. But you guys know my feelings on Mike McDaniel. He should have been gone. They should have done a clean sweep. Greer, McDaniel, and Tua. But here we are with Mike McDaniel, the corporate survivor. I mean, we thought Chris Greer could teach a master class on corporate survival. No, it's Mike McDaniel who can teach the master class. He learned from the master, right?
Is the team on the field so far off of Stephen Ross's radar with Garfunkel there making him tons of money right and left, and he's got this Palm Beach project going on. We already know how he cleaned up biggest real estate project, most successful in New York City's history. Think about that. I mean, a guy could run for president based on his success in the real estate industry. Are they just off this guy's radar in terms of putting a competitive winning product on the field? Because once again, I mean, this is like the team that just lost 7 times in a row to another team, and the first thing you say, Chris, after you brick a jumper at the end of the game that could have won it is, hey, let's run it back.
Yeah.
Thinking for what? We already know you're going to lose. I mean, are they even paying that close of attention to this? Is it an imperative and important matter on Stephen Ross's overall agenda, in your opinion?
100% yes, it is.
Okay.
Steve Ross does care greatly about winning, and he does care greatly about the Dolphins. He just can't get it right. He just keeps picking the wrong people. We'll see if Troy Aikman and his participation in the GM search makes any difference. I'm a little skeptical about this GM search. You guys won't be surprised that I'm skeptical about a Dolphins major decision coming up, but I just see a convoluted process when you've got 8 people that we know of that are going to be interviewed and 6 people that we know of that are helping make the decision, right? So helping make the decision, you've got Steve Ross at the top of the food chain. You've got president of the Dolphins, Tom Garfinkel. You've got salary capologist Brandon Shore. You've got Mike McDaniel, Troy Aikman, Dan Marino, and then Daniel Silman, who is Steve Ross's son-in-law. So I want to see a streamlined process here, but it looks like you're going to be interviewing a bunch of people, and a bunch of people are going to have their hand in the decision. I don't like it already.
Yeah, I'm with you. We thought and speculated that maybe Boom Boom Mancini might become. I mean, why not just bring in anybody? You know, I mean, it's insane to think that these are the people and that you need that many. I would go to some sourpuss, like a cantankerous guy like Greg Cosell and say, "Hey, Greg, who's out there?" And you'd probably be better served than to have this wild committee conglomerate of 8 people. Lubie, I know you have questions about this whole thing.
I have plenty to talk about. See, that's sort of, I'll be honest, annoying, because the GM search, to this point at least, I was almost excited because it was the first time in forever that instead of just bringing someone up from the organization that already sucked, they actually went to successful organizations that built through the draft and drafted well, and didn't just pick the pool boy or the janitor. They picked guys that are not only in the front office, but are in the positions that would have not only key roles in dissecting talent, voicing, draft this person gets drafted. So like personnel, assistant GM, and for the Eagles, the Packers, the Niners, Alexander from the Chargers. Like, these are all organizations that have done what the Dolphins have not been able to do. Was like, I wouldn't say excited, because like you said, it is the Dolphins under Ross, but I was like, oh, good. Finally, they're interviewing the kind of guys I'd like them to interview. When you say that, that scares me, because it's like, okay, so they're the same old Dolphins, because who knows who will get hired, how they'll get hired, and when they'll get hired.
Yeah, and here's the thing that, I'm uncomfortable with Mike McDaniel being involved in the process. And we don't know how involved he is. We don't know to what extent. But I could see a scenario where this guy, whoever the next GM is, he owes a debt of gratitude to Mike McDaniel for helping him land the best job of his career, right? Like,
Yeah.
how are you going to disagree with Mike McDaniel when this guy helped you get the job you wanted for your whole life? So you're almost going to get a Mike McDaniel yes man in this job. I will say this. Jacksonville did this with their new coach, Liam Cohen. You guys will remember that Liam Cohen, who has never been a head coach, told Jacksonville, I'm not coming there if Trent Baalke is your GM. Jacksonville fired Trent Baalke. They let Liam Cohen have a hand in naming the next GM. It was 35-year-old James Gladstone, and now they're in the playoffs, right? They went from, what was it, 4-13 to 13-4 or whatever. So maybe Steve Ross and the Dolphins aren't that crazy, but they are. It's the Dolphins. It's Steve Ross. It won't work.
They love being snookered. They love being in a spot where there's a very low ceiling, and maybe the floor isn't quite as low as it is for some franchises like the Raiders and teams that just crap out altogether. But that in and of itself was always talked about, as you know, Chris, as being one of the detrimental things in the Don Shula end of his era, where it was like, well, we're just not bad enough to get good. And we've tried that. We've tried all kinds of different things with this team, but there doesn't seem to be any great sort of comforting feeling about the way they operate. So I was hoping maybe they had made the call about John Harbaugh, but apparently
you don't think it was that, like, because the reports are, and they throw out those reports to sort of let you know, like, the Dolphins, Ross has always had a strong affinity for John Harbaugh. Like, you really think it wasn't the Dolphins? Because that would be annoying, because that's another thing that gave us hope, was that, oh, good for them, they actually are going to try and get Harbaugh.
I just think Jerry Jones would be first in line, because Jerry Jones has no couth. Jerry Jones loves publicity. Jerry Jones does not give a damn about who is his head coach. We know that this dude is on an all-out mission to win. I mean, he does stupid things like trading Micah Parsons, but look, Steve Ross is too, because he does stupid things like pursuing Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton and Tom Brady. So it's hard to say which of those two was on the phone with Harbaugh's agent. But I could see Dallas being the first one. They have the quarterback. They seem more win ready. If you're John Harbaugh, you're looking at a team in the Dolphins that is in salary cap hell. Well, not hell, but you're $15 million in the red. You don't have a quarterback, and for the foreseeable future, you're going up against Josh Allen and Drake May in your division. I think that Dallas is more desirable if you're Harbaugh right now, but I don't know. I just think Jerry Jones was the one who made that call as far as a coach that already has a team. I mean, a team that already has a coach. Wow,
Yeah.
I botched that one.
I just don't see Jerry Jones capitulating his meddling instincts and letting Harbaugh do his thing. And I can't imagine after 18 years in one spot there where he had success. I mean, the guy's record, we mentioned it earlier, 180 and 113 as a Super Bowl championship. But for this kicker pushing one out to the right there, I'm pretty sure he keeps the job. And it would be Tomlin. That's so interesting how much swung on that one kick, because Tomlin would have been the guy that was under scrutiny, supposedly. And you could see where maybe Pittsburgh came to the same conclusion that Baltimore did. Had they lost that game, they might have done that and said, all right, as good as it's been, it's not good enough, and maybe it's time for a change. We'll see. But the Miami Dolphins standing pat and having McDaniel, I was shocked. Like I said, I mean, they could have thrown anybody into this search for the GM. If you're going to have the coach that is on this shaky turf making that determination, doesn't necessarily bode well for the future. All right, you mentioned a couple of things. We have the playoffs coming up. Chris, wanted to get your opinion on a few of these teams and games that are lined up here for the first week. Shocker. I mean, we talked about this before, where you would have never, if you had bet this, you'd be a rich man. If you had parlayed Kansas City, the Detroit Lions, the Ravens, and maybe Washington to all miss the playoffs this year, you had to get a phenomenal price on that. It seemed virtually impossible. The two teams that end up with the top seeds, Denver Broncos, what would be the biggest surprise for me, a great defensive team, don't put up a lot of points. So it makes you a little squeamish, as Joe Philbin would say, about a little queasy about them going all the way. I don't know. Can they do it with just defense? Your thoughts first on the AFC? Like everybody's saying, maybe it's Buffalo's year. The path is cleared. Doesn't have Lamar Jackson to deal with. No Joe Burrow in there with Cincinnati, and and no Mahomes. Can can the Buffalo Bills break through, or I don't know what to make of Jacksonville. I don't know what you think of them. So give me your overview. I've been babbling here. Give me your overview on what you think about the AFC.
My overview on all of football this season, college and NFL, is that defense reigns. You go to college, you look at Miami and Indiana. I know the quarterbacks get a lot of attention. Those teams play defense. Ohio State played defense. And so you go to the NFL, Houston, we're talking AFC, plays good defense, right? Denver plays good defense. Jacksonville plays good defense. The Chargers play good defense. Buffalo is the team that does not play good defense, but they are the ones that you're going to look at and say, yeah, there's no Baltimore in your way. There's no Kansas City in your way. You need to get to a Super Bowl, Sean McDermott, or you're going to be the coach who fans are saying, get him the F out of here, right? Yeah. And so I look at Buffalo and the AFC as the team with the most pressure on them. But I don't know AFC or NFC who is coming out of the conference because things are so jumbled. We just don't know at this point. But I'm going to say Buffalo because of Josh Allen should be the favorite. But again, that defense, I mean, the Dolphins had success against Buffalo offensively. So it's really hard to go with them with a whole lot of conviction. And then in the NFC, going up the defensive thing, Chicago plays good defense also. So it's going to be interesting to see. This isn't the Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson playoffs. This is kind of what quarterback is going to emerge and what role is defense going to play.
Seattle looked great to me. Times I've seen him. Sam Darnold, we saw the storyline last year. He's got Minnesota rolling. They look like they're going to be a dynamo. And then we start seeing him sailing some passes there. It's the old Christopher Cross thing, sailing over the heads of my receivers. And he made some really bad throws and poor decisions, I guess, bad plays. And then everybody, I mean, even Minnesota said, as good as this guy was, right, we're going to go with J.J. McCarthy. He ends up in Seattle. Same thing's happening, although we didn't see the drop-off. Are they the team to beat in your estimation? I mean, they come in as the number one seed, but, so it's not like, we're coming up with some brilliant sleeper for you, but they look pretty impressive to me. Are you convinced that, one way or the other about Seattle maybe being the Super Bowl champion?
I'm not convinced. I like San Francisco still. And that's a team that, if I'm not mistaken, they were down to 6 wins last year, but mostly due to injury. So they're back. I just like the way that they play the game, and like you said, Lubie, it's kind of reassuring that the Dolphins are looking at 3 of their people to be the next GM, because I like the way, and you guys know this, I've said this a lot, I like the way San Francisco, Philly, and Detroit in particular build a complete team. It's not just quarterback. It's a complete team, offense, defense. They can beat you with their edge rushers, their secondary, their run game, their pass game.
When they've been able to replenish, like they can lose stars and they lose guys. Like the great organizations, right? The Steelers always did, the Ravens always did, the Giants. They can lose guys and not bat an eye because they know they can replenish it through the draft.
Right. I mean, Deebo Samuel and the safety to Hufanga and all of these dudes who have left, and San Francisco is still there. So I like them. I really like San Francisco, but boy, it should be great playoffs because it's so jumbled. It should be close, not bad playoffs, very close playoffs, and maybe we see a new kind of 2 or 3 year run by some franchise.
All right, let's put your prognosticating skills on the line here. And for public record, just buzz through these games real quick. Pick a winner for us or give us some logic behind whatever you think is going to happen. Rams laying 10.5 to Carolina. Carolina, of course, the ultimate back end where they lose the game they needed to win, and then they get another team to win the game they needed them to win to get back in. Even though you would have to have thought that they were very undeserving after losing to Tampa Bay. Did the Rams destroy Carolina? Or will that prove to be an embarrassment to the system?
No, I think the Rams roll. That's another Super Bowl favorite that I neglected to mention. Right, that's an offense that can get going with the best of them in the league. Boy, I'll take the Rams to cover. It's 10 and a hook, right?
10 and a hook is one I had here.
That's a big number for the playoffs. That's a big number.
Yes,
but
on the road too.
Yeah, I'm going to take them, man. What the heck? I'm going to take them.
Rams laying 10 and a hook. Chris Perkins. All right. Packers, Chicago. Packers on the road. They're still favored by 1.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the home team here. This is going to be a good one also. We'll see Caleb Williams against Jordan Love. We'll see who can emerge here. But I really like what Ben Johnson has done up in Chicago. Former Dolphins assistant, by the way. Offensive assistant is what I think was his title while he was here. I know Lubie's shaking his head. Another one got away.
There's like 3 or 4 of those guys, though,
circulating.
Dynamically and clearly responsible for the success of the team. Yeah. Pretty interesting. All right. So which you're going with the home team there, right?
Chicago.
You mentioned the Bills are favored by 1 on the road against Jacksonville. People are non-believers in Jacksonville. They did have some spotty efforts here and there, but they closed really with a rush. I mean, they look great the last couple of games of the regular season. What do you think? Are the Bills eliminated? And if so, could there be another Black Monday coming up where McDermott is gone if he loses first round in the playoffs this year?
Oh, yeah. Fans there are unhappy in Buffalo. You guys know I've got relatives up there, had a family reunion up there. I'm going to go with the visiting Bills to win this game. That's a sign of disrespect toward Jacksonville. Their defensive coordinator, Anthony Campanile, another former Dolphins assistant, right? Outside linebackers coach for the Dolphins. But Buffalo, man, if you don't win this one, Sean McDermott is gone like as soon as the clock hits 0. It's been way too much frustration for them. Just like Pittsburgh, who was chanting "Fire Mike Tomlin" until he won 3 in a row, right? Had his third straight 10-win season. And just like the frustration up there in Baltimore, if you can't get to the big game, there's frustration. So McDermott, you better win or those fans are going to be really, really pissed off at you.
All right. Chris thinks that McDermott's going to deliver here and the Bills move on. 49ers, you obviously like them to, if you have them as a Super Bowl sleeper there. On the road against Philadelphia, which Philadelphia's not been nearly as impressive, even as their sort of modest record compared to last year would indicate. I don't know. I find them suspect. What do you think? I know you're going in this one with the 49ers. At least I believe so. Getting 4.
I am going with the 49ers in this one. I agree with you. Philly has been kind of suspect, but Philly was not that impressive last year during the regular season. They were. Yeah, exactly, Lubie. They're a team that really does play some good defense, but I don't know that defense is going to be good enough to hold up against San Francisco. So give me the Niners.
All right, taking the Niners, points, and maybe a little money line taste there for Chris Perkins.
Yep.
Chargers. We didn't mean to, immerse you in the gambling industry. By the way, I don't know if this impugns your integrity as an unbiased reporter for the Sun Sentinel, but we want to issue a disclaimer here that this wasn't Chris's idea. All right, Chargers and the New England Patriots. I've been impressed with the Patriots. People keep putting this disparaging thing about their schedule. And you could come back very easily and just say, hey, look, they didn't make up the schedule. They played the teams that were there. They were very convincing against some of these crapola teams that they played. They did play the Buffalo Bills a couple of times, who were favored to win the AFC in some circles, or certainly drafting in there behind the Ravens. Are you a backer of New England and the Chargers? We mentioned Jim Harbaugh, talked a lot about that with the John Harbaugh thing. And they're getting 3 and a hook on the road against New England. Where do you stand on that one, Chris Perkins?
I'm going with New England. I'm going with this comeback story of the franchise with Drake May and Mike Vrabel and all this kind of stuff. I like what they did against the Dolphins, meaning just came out and pounded them. Like most good teams do. So that gives me some assurance that that they can do it. Now, of course, the Chargers beat the Dolphins also. A pretty close game. Actually, the first Dolphins-Chargers Patriots game was close, 33-27, New England. But I'm going to believe in the Vrabel Drake May myth. By the way, another team that plays good defense, New England. So, but I'm going to go with New England on this one.
Drake May has been impressive. People keep wanting to knock him and say, well, this and that and the other thing. But every time I see him, he's completing like 80% of his passes and putting some pretty impressive throws in there as well. It's not like he's just dumping the ball off. This isn't Chad Henne offense where you look at his completion percentage and you're thinking, wow, this guy is the second coming of Johnny Unitas. And then he has like 80 yards passing for the game. It's not the case here. All right, one more left, Chris Perkins. Then we'll let you off the hook here. Texans, who I had in a parlay, which is already up in smoke because I tied it all to Georgia winning the national championship. So another 10 and aligning the pockets of the DraftKings executives there. But Texans laying 3 on the road against Pittsburgh, who clearly got look, you earn your way in there, but they were a kick away from being eliminated as well. So what do you make of that when Pittsburgh gets the home field because they won the division?
Houston's got to go on the road and win this game. I know Mike Tomlin, there's a lot of talk about him not winning a playoff game since 2016, the year that he beat the Dolphins. Houston, if C.J. Stroud is for real, if your defense is for real, if Coach DeMeco Ryans is for real, you go on the road and you win this playoff game. So, and I do think that they're for real. I like Mike Tomlin. I respect Mike Tomlin, but it's going to be another year without a playoff victory. So give me Houston.
All right. And your final statement, will John Harbaugh be the coach of the Miami Dolphins?
No, it's another year of Mike McDaniel.
Really?
And this might, and let me say this also. Here's the other scary part of this. If Mike McDaniel starts out 1-5, 1-6, does the GM have the authority to fire Mike McDaniel? And then how long are you in bed with this GM that Mike McDaniel has approved? 4 years? I mean, the whole thing is so Dolphins. It's so Dolphins.
I mean, have they called Manny Pacquiao to see if he wants to consult on this? I'm thinking find some boxer that got hit in the head too many times, and maybe he can sort of blindly fall onto the right thing. All right, Chris, always a pleasure, my friend. And do you have a position? I would imagine you have some kind of interest in the Hurricanes game that's coming up on Thursday night. Hurricanes and Ole Miss. I'm thinking the chaos is actually working to Ole Miss's benefit here. People were thinking the Lane Kiffin departure was going to totally destroy the dynamic. Looked pretty impressive to me. What do you think? Can the Canes overcome the Cristobal factor a third time?
Yeah. I know, right? I'm taking the Canes, and I'm taking the dream matchup in the championship of the Canes versus Indiana. Fernando Mendoza comes home. The Christopher Columbus High School alum comes home to Hard Rock. plays a home game at Hard Rock. Let's see who wins it. But Mendoza and the Canes at Hard Rock. Everybody's at home. That's my prediction for the championship game. Go Canes.
Interesting. Now, will you be inclined to venture down there under the auspices of being a part of the working press just to get in and see that game? Or
oh, heck no. I sit home and drink beer and eat wings, baby. I'm gonna enjoy it. No
yes, you have to be in some smelly, smoky press box to really get the essence of what was going on there. And the guy next to you had to smoke cigarettes, right? You're thinking, everybody used to allow that. That was. Well, you're probably too young to remember that.
No, I remember that. I remember people smoking in the office. Yeah.
Yeah. You got Sonny Hirsch lighting up a cigarette right there. You're in a 2x4 broom closet that was converted into it's like, Sonny, could you can it with the Viceroys? I mean, please. All right, Chris, we love you, man. Always a great job. Always entertaining and informative. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, all right, thanks for having me.
Chris Perkins, ladies and gentlemen. Entertaining and informative. I mean, that's a good combination, right?
He's great, but it was depressing. I appreciate his honesty, but it was.
But that would be what you would expect. It's funny too, because you can't always believe the narratives that are out there. But in the case of Miami, the story never changes. It just always remains the same. The moves that you, I don't know that they need to dive on having John Harbaugh as their head coach right away, and it would be. If you were Harbaugh, for the reasons that Chris pointed out and are readily apparent, why would you want to be in this situation if you had a chance at any of the other open jobs? I mean, according to his agent, every team assumed that has an opening has called this guy +1. I don't know. Maybe there's a couple of others that have coaches that would inquire about his availability. Certainly, you would think what would add immediate stability and some credibility to your franchise. That you were legitimately in pursuit of trying to put something together that was going to be very good and persist over a long period of time. Although, how many more years is this guy going to coach, too? He still looks young, no? I would love him to be the coach because then you could bet your team in the preseason.
Almost every game.
Every game. Every single game. We discovered a betting trend through one of the handicappers in the Post yesterday, and it held up like a charm. And I don't know that anybody can discipline themselves to actually do this. I can't. I go to the track every time I go. I say, well, I'm just going to play this one pick 5. I'm going to put like $50 into it. And if I lose, I'm going to go home, have a couple of drinks, and let that be it. I'm not going to go crazy and immediately get there and backwheel a couple of favorites at different tracks, hoping to get lucky and be stuck $100 or whatever before I even get to the point where I'm making my play that I came to make. And I can't do it, right? As soon as I get there, boom. Oh, look at that. The 4 is 3 to 5. I'll take the next 4 choices and odds and bet them over them and hope I connect on like a $10 exacta or something. And if you're betting sports, I guess now, look, everybody's betting all of these exotic parlays involving proposition bets and things of that nature. And you really need to go back to like basic fundamentals, don't you? If you really wanted to win, if you're trying to win, just find something that actually works and stick with it, even though it may not be so romantic. You're not going to make like $50,000 for betting $10.
Oh yes, obviously. Look,
but just once, I want to be that guy, Lubie. Just once.
Yeah,
What the
yes.
hell, Georgia? How could they not hold on? It would have been, an interesting matchup there, Georgia and the Hurricanes. All right, well, let's hope for the best. We'll have some more analysis on this stuff. We will do a trivia challenge tomorrow with one Dave Gurgles Gurgley as well. So we'll lighten up things because this heaviness about the Dolphins tends to be a very futile conversation, doesn't it?
It's just annoying. You're right. Perk's right. It is a Dolphin, so of course, why would good things happen? But it's just annoying because it was like, okay, they talked about Harbaugh. Harbaugh did get fired. Then reports did link the Dolphins to possibly being in the sweepstakes. And they do not have the best of situations, like you guys are saying, but they're hiring a new GM. So that means at least maybe Harbaugh could be involved in it. So if they get a guy that Harbaugh likes, they're going to be clearing a lot of space. Like yes, they're in the red now. They're not going to be. I mean, Tyreek
Hill has a better understanding of how to sustain a franchise in terms of picking personnel.
I'm just hoping
they had one of the best GMs, right? I mean, they have one of the best GMs.
The Ravens always are great in the front office, but Harbaugh's great at that too. Like my hope as a naive Dolphins fan would be that they would say, "Look, here are the keys," and get out of the way in a way that I don't know if the Ravens ever did. So like maybe he'd be happy with that because again, you're not getting that in Dallas. And it's not like Cleveland's a better situation. Like the Giants are the only one to me that's a better situation because Jackson Dart seems to be a young quarterback that you can believe in. They have a top 2 pick, unlike the idiot Dolphins, and they do have a nice core of interesting pieces on defense and with Scatterbo on offense. And then the receiver, we forget that the kid out of LSU was great, and he just got hurt.
Yeah,
and the neighbors early in the year, like. They have the stuff the Dolphins don't have. So the Giants would be the one team that I'd be scared of if I was the Dolphins. But that stuff where they're such but it's still a head coaching job and there's no state tax. And Ross is always willing to pay top dollar for whoever comes in.
Maybe the highest.
He leaves you alone and he'll keep you forever. You don't have to worry about your job as long as you can be around 500, which is what Harbaugh's done his entire career. He's not going to fire you. So I got happy and hope, and then Perk and you dash it and remind me.
Well, I mean, if you were looking for the next 5 years, if your goal was to build a little upward momentum and stability, Harbaugh, with whomever he decided to work in tandem with as a GM, certainly would be more knowledgeable about what it takes to do that than this haphazard stuff that's going on with Mike McDaniel and what apparently is going to be a circus of a hunt for the next guy. It's almost like dealing with radio management, right? Where
yes.
Well, how the hell did you make that move? I mean,
that's 100% what it is. It's the other way where they lean against, they're disloyal, and he leans toward loyalty. So good for him, I guess. But it's weird to watch the stuff and go, what?
Great. Yeah. All right, we got to get out of here, Lubie. You have things to do. And we will see you guys tomorrow with the Trivia Challenge. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the participation on the chat line. And as always, good to be with you. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, young Luca Panici Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that. And thanks to Chris Perkins for joining us with some reasonable perspective. He is very outspoken about how the Dolphin organization is lame for a guy that writes about him every day.
He's gotten on the negative side, but he's right a lot now, and it's annoying.
And it's not like he's like a lot of us though that have been around the franchise for a long period of time, where you you want to believe that it's not going to be like this, that it's going to be okay, but it never is. I mean, how long has this been going on? To quote the line out of
5 years.
Shouldn't that be their theme song? How long has this been going on?
Yes.
And the fans could respond just like they do when Kenny Walker does that thing where he doesn't say the words first down. They're down 32-6, fourth quarter. 3 people are left in the stands there. You're stepping over empty peanut shells and trying to make your way to the parking lot, trying to figure out where you left your car, hoping you didn't leave it running. And Kenny does that thing. They finally get like a token first down at the end of the game in garbage time. And he still does it. Another Miami Dolphins. And you're like, come on, Kenny. You really want me to go first down?
Get out of here.
What kind of douchebag fans do we really have down here? And actually, nothing against Kenny. He's a nice guy, and he's had a brilliant career here in local radio. Yeah, good guy. I mean, seems to be on the right side of things. And a good announcer, but...
yeah, the fact that the fans will do it, it's like, guys.
I could never bring myself to be that.
No.
There's something wrong with me? Am I just too self-conscious?
Well, you're down by 20. Well, no, if the game's tight, fine. I'm not going to begrudge them. But if you're down 20, it's like you would always talk about the Shaq dunk.
The Shaq dunk,
It's like, dude, you're down by 50, you're down by 20, and it's literally 10 seconds left.
Diamante retired. He probably will take that to his grave.
Exactly.
How the hell do I exaggerate those meaningless Shaq dunks at the end of ball games just because it happened to be my signature thing? I mean, let's get ready to rumble here, Libby. All right, we got to get out of here. We're going to get rumbled into the gutter, which is a place that we're quite familiar with. Face down would be the position I'm normally in. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:12.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.